Hi everyone, Queeveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are finally going to take a look at Comet 141P Machholz. I mentioned this comet a few videos ago when we were taking a look at the conjunction of planets that is visible early in the morning if you are closer to the equator. If you are at a lower latitude, you don't have to be too close to the equator. With the atmosphere removed, we can see the planets, and if we take a slightly closer look, there's Comet 141P-D Machholz. We can also see over here Comet C 2025 R3 Pan-STARRS. There are a few comets around at the moment, but this comet, well, it is a little bit faint. If we take a look at it here, this is the orbit of the comet. That's going to come in handy a little bit later. We can see that it's magnitude 9.8. And that's with the atmosphere removed. If the atmosphere was still there, it would be reduced by the air masses. But even if you're seeing it in a dark enough sky, a little bit higher from the horizon, 9.8 is about as bright as it's going to get, which is pretty faint. It does make it a potential target for telescopes, but it's not a particularly bright one. Comet 141P-D Machholz is one of many comets that's named after Donald Machholz, so this comet is sometimes called Machholz 2, with Comet 96P Machholz being a Machholz 1, even though there are 12 comets named after Donald Machholz, who discovered all 12 of the comets. This is where the comet is at the moment in the sky, or it will be as of tomorrow morning. So we can see it's quite close to those planets. It's already quite close to the sun. It's under an AU from the sun, but it's over an AU from us. So this indicates that the comet is on the far side of the sun. As we move into the future, just there around the 18th or 19th of May, the comet gets down to 0.8 AU from the sun, more or less. That's the closest that it's going to get. It will then start moving away from the sun, but from our perspective it looks like it's going behind the sun. It looks like it's getting closer to the sun in our sky, but really that's just because the comet is leaving the solar system on the opposite side of the sun from us. That's something we'll be able to see a little bit better if we head out to the Solar System Observer and take a look down on this comet from above so that we can see the path that it's taking relative to the Earth. So here we go, out to the Solar System Observer. We will have to reselect the comet, and we will have to zoom in a little bit as well. We won't have to zoom in too far. We can see how far out the orbit is. Jupiter's orbit does go pretty close to the orbit of this comet, so this comet can have its orbit changed by proximity to Jupiter. But here we go. The comet is pretty much on the far side of the sun. It reaches its closest position to the sun pretty much on the opposite side of the sun from us, and then continues out of the solar system while on the opposite side of the sun from us. The Earth here, its orbit seems to be cutting through the orbit of this comet. We can see the orbit of this comet just barely comes inside the Earth's. Its closest position to the sun is just under an AU, so just barely closer to the sun than we are. Just around here, that's its perihelion, almost on the opposite side of the sun from us, and then it continues out back into the, well, not too far into the outer solar system, just about as far as Jupiter. So it does appear that the Earth's orbit is crossing the orbit of this comet. Sometimes this can be an illusion. The comet could be going above or below the plane of the ecliptic. In this case, this comet is going pretty close to the orbit of the Earth. We can see they're moving pretty far back into 2025 Comet Machholz, which we mentioned in far previous videos. The Earth isn't getting any meteor showers from this comet currently. Not all comets leave behind particularly big streams of material, and very often the biggest streams of material that get left behind are left behind by comets that break up, or at least partially break up, as they go around the sun. So that comet, Machholz there, its orbit takes a little over 5 years, so it's having its perihelion just coming up in May, and it won't come back around again for a little over 5 years. So it is a periodical comet. It is a pretty short period comet, but of course there are a couple of comets shorter. 5 years is a very short orbit for a comet. Most comets would have much longer orbits, but we can see from its position where it is in the space that its orbit isn't going to be too long, just going from Jupiter into about as far as the Earth. This comet probably isn't going to get ripped apart by the sun. It's not getting close enough. Whereas other comets do get close enough to get ripped apart by the sun. Comets can get too close to Jupiter as well. The Shoemaker-Levy comet was broken up and taken in by Jupiter. It crashed into Jupiter. Comets do occasionally break up, whether it's due to the influence of the sun or planets or just getting flung out of the solar system, which does happen occasionally. Now, I want to take a look at Comet 26P Grig-Skjellerup, and here we go. There's P Grig-Skjellerup. So even though the number isn't there, I'm pretty sure that this comet is the only comet that was discovered by this pair of astronomers, which does make things a little bit simpler. And we can see here, yeah, just under 5 years of an orbital period, but it's currently quite far out. Yeah, so it's 4.5 AU give or take from the sun, about 5.5 AU from us. So just like Comet Machholz on the opposite side of the solar system. This comet is the comet that gives rise to the Puppid meteor shower, and the Puppid meteor shower is happening just at the end of this month, so we'll move back into this month. The Puppid meteor shower should be peaking actually tomorrow morning, or just as we get into the 24th, just as we pass midnight UTC. You can return back to the previous video to learn a little bit about the Puppids. But here we are, a little bit back closer to today, and we'll go back out to the Solar System Observer to take a look at this comet. We'll have to travel through a couple of years, or we would have to travel through a couple of years to see this comet come back to its perihelion. It's almost as far from the sun as it's going to get currently, but if we can bring up its orbit isn't coming up, which is unfortunate. That does mean that we're going to have to move through several years back to 2023 in order to see this comet closer to the inner solar system. So let's get that out of the way first. Here we go, here we are in 2023, and there is the comet pretty close to the inner solar system. It's still not drawing an orbit, but we can tell by the distances, the distance from the sun there is just about 1 AU, and if we move back it should get a little bit closer, getting down to just about 0.7 AU, so just inside the Earth's orbit. So we can see that this comet, its path passes the Earth's orbit, and the Earth passes through the stream left behind by this comet. This is a comet that creates a meteor shower. So there's the Earth and there's the comet pretty much crossing where the Earth's orbit would be, and as we move forward the Earth gets up to that point, well, it looks like about in January, which is a bit early for the Puppids. We'd be expecting it to come a little bit later, but then again the comet is, if we come up here, yeah, it's just 1 AU there, so really that's where it would be intersecting with Earth's orbit. Then again, the Earth's orbit is elliptical, it's not perfect. There are times where the Earth is further from the sun than 1 AU and closer than 1 AU. 1 AU is just the average. We have to come pretty far forward before we get back to the correct date. Now let's just go back again. Yeah, it does hit 1 AU again there. So this comet's path presumably passes the Earth's orbit more than once. But where we collide into the stream of material left behind by this comet, that doesn't happen until the 24th of April. So that is coming up in a few days. We can see that at its maximum, it gets up to about magnitude 7. So this was back in 2023, very close to the sun in our sky. So it wouldn't have been a particularly easy comet to see. Some comets, of course, can be very difficult to see. If we return back to the Earth, as mentioned in the previous video, we are just coming up to, or well, now we're just past the peak of the Lyrids. The Lyrid meteor shower peaked on the 22nd this month, so just a couple of days ago. The Lyrid meteor shower has been recorded since 687 BC. Presumably it took until, a few years after that before we could be sure. There's the April Lyrids. We're of course a few years out of date here, so let's get back up to this year. The April Lyrids have been recorded since the year 687 BC. So this meteor shower has been known for a while. And when I say it's been recorded since 687 BC, there was regular recordings of it at the time that we know it to happen. So that is how we were able to extrapolate that it is the April Lyrids that were being recorded even 687 years before BC. So, you know, thousands of years ago now. Not every meteor shower has that history to it. Some meteor showers have only been discovered more recently, and it wasn't in 1861 that everybody agreed that meteors came from space. There was for a long time a theory that meteors coalesced in the upper atmosphere from dust and then fell back down to the earth. It wasn't until the 1800s that people really started to accept that these things actually came from space. So really it was the 1700s that people started saying that these things came from space, but really into the 1800s it wasn't a sure thing that meteor showers came from space, and it certainly wasn't known that meteor showers were connected to comets. However, in more recent times, meteor showers that are newer, that were formed by the stream of material left behind by comets that were discovered more recently, those are younger showers. So these meteor showers, the same way that their parent body comets can get destroyed, can get blown out of their paths, can stop coming back in and refilling the stream of material that generates the meteor showers for us. The same way that those comet stories can sort of end, meteor showers can fade out as well. Even though meteor showers have been observed really for almost all of human history, as long as people have been writing things down and talking about what's in the sky, there's been discussion of meteor showers. But there's a good chance that meteor showers seen by our ancestors might not be meteor showers that we see today. The April Lyrids seem to have the longest history, whereas other meteor showers, their periodicity, the fact that they happened at regular times, that only became discovered much more recently. And so we don't really know which ones are the youngest, which ones are the newest, because we simply haven't been recording them properly for that long. The Lyrids have a very long history, but not a lot of meteor showers do. So I hope that you get to see maybe Comet 141P Machholz, or maybe a few of the puppet meteors over the next couple of days. Most importantly, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, then please do like it. If you like this kind of content, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you'd like to read this information, you can do so on my website, queevinscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.